everybody? Today I'm going to be playing, or rather reviewing and doing some testing on the new 1.16.5 Tardis mod. So this has been a pretty long time coming, I'd say about a year. If you don't know, the new Tardis mod is a pretty small, okay, not small, pretty cool mod. If you don't know what a TARDIS is, it's basically a time machine, bigger on the inside, you know. If you've ever heard of Dalek mod, I wouldn't say it's similar to that, but it's got its similarities, as you know, it's got a TARDIS and all that crazy stuff. Um, but you know, yeah. So today I'm gonna be kind of like reviewing it, you could say, or I guess, you know, playing around with it. Okay, not playing around with it. Let's just say reviewing it, telling you what you could do and kind of, I guess, you know, what you could maybe not get out of it, but you know, learn from this video. There was a 1.14.4 version of this mod, which came out I think about a year ago, but that was reviewed by the pretty cool YouTuber known as Tommy Pie. The link of his video will be in the description below. It tells you about a decent amount of stuff, but there are some new features that the 1.16 version adds, which is pretty cool. So, I also installed the regeneration mod because it has some compatibilities with it. So yeah. But today we are going to be playing this mod, and I'm pretty excited. So let's get to it. So the first thing you're probably going to need is find a village like this. Now, I actually spawned in this village because I have a mod called villager spawn or village spawn. And basically what you're going to need is this bell. Um, Now, there are multiple ways to find a TARDIS, which is one of these things. Now, this is a trunk. There can be plenty types of TARDISes. You've got that one again. And this is probably the one that you'll see. It's probably the most popular. It's kind of like the icon of the series. They are pretty loud, so, you know, yeah. But, we'll try to find these TARDISes. Now, there's a few ways to find them. The Tommy Pie's video goes into it pretty well, but, I'll elaborate on it a bit more. So, basically, what you're going to need is a bell. So if you put this bell down, give me a sec. If you put this bell down and ring it. Okay, that's a bit loud. Let's go not over there, cause I put way too many down. Whenever I spawn here. Yeah, okay, so if you put this bell down, I'm pretty sure it's in a 3x3 radius, I could be wrong, but if you're like, say like this far away and you ring it, no matter what Y level, you will detect it, I think. And it's supposed to sound like that. You'll hear a cloister bell, if you know what that is. You know, I'm walking along and then I put the bell down. Now I also picked up that one, but you'll hear that. So you're like, oh, well, there's a cave down here. TARDISes usually only spawn in caves, so that's one thing to watch out, but you'll probably want a pocket watch. You can craft this like this. Basically, you need a clock, Zion crystal, and electronic circuits. I'll get into the quanti-scope welding later, but within a 20 block diameter, your watch will start to go off. So let's just say you're walking into this cave, and one sec. You're walking into this cave, and you know, you get this. Then, if you're like over here, then you know that you're pretty close to a TARDIS, and then you have a TARDIS here. So yeah, that's one way to find a TARDIS. Now, the way that I usually go with, which is actually a pretty good way, is if you have the villager spawn mod, which I do kind of suggest because bells are very important and villages are like pretty useful because, you know, bell and what I'm just about to get into. So let's just do that. So you've probably noticed this building. There's one over there too. And you walk in here, and there's, you know, this. There's this room. Now you can find some pretty valuable books in here. You can get some X-ion crystals. I don't need to call them Zion crystals. Some enchanting books, and if you're wondering, well, secret just between me and you, there's a book back here. You can get these, and I'll get into these later. But as you can see, they're a template for other upgrades, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So these villagers might need a bit of help getting up to this, because there's a telescope up here, which is a new villager job. So get out of here. No, where'd this astronomer guy go? Where actually did he go? Oh, he's over here. Couldn't find him. Yeah. So basically, these guys you'll want to buy stuff from them. And as far as I know, their recipes can be paper and glass panes. And once you do that, if you look at it again, you'll get this. Now, we'll get into that in a sec, but another trade, which I hope this other astronomer guy, will show us. My man's in here. Storyteller, sorry. You can get this strange journal, so let's just give ourselves one of those. This strange journal, or better known as Tardis Manual, is basically a guide for everything you need to really know. And it's very useful. I like the UI here. You've got your, you know, all your things here. You can search these. You can go to look to the last page, first page. This is pretty useful, not even just for learning about the TARDIS, but yes. Okay, so if we go back over here, then this man's will give us artifacts map for 15 emeralds. It's always 15 emeralds, by the way. So you get that, and as far as I know, there's no trades after this. I'm pretty sure it's just this and then the artifact map. So if we maybe go over here and open this, it'll give us an ancient artifact map. And if we go over here, I think I'm going in the wrong direction actually. You know, it'll tell you something that the location of is seemingly a naturally spawned TARDIS. You know, near you. Because I did not spawn any in the sea, if you could not tell. Yeah, and it'll, you know, show up that I'm too far here. And you'll find a TARDIS here. Now, you can't open it, and I'll give this a little bit of a better example. So, yeah, that first try actually. Now this is probably the TARDIS you'll see most commonly. This is the TARDIS I usually find. Now you're probably wondering, why can't I open this door? And that's because you're going to need some certain things. So as far as I know, ender pearls. I'm not sure I have ender pearls, clocks, I think filled maps, and compasses? Pull it up. I'm not sure what else. So a filled map, an ender pearl, a clock, and a compass. I'm not sure if anything else will work. If anybody wants to tell me if there is, but as far as I know, clocks work the best. And then you get access to a TARDIS. So, let's head right in. Yes, very beautiful. You've also probably noticed the bow tie effect, or bigger on the inside, or so tie effect? Smaller on the outside effect. So this is a very popular console. I don't know why it's bright up, never mind. Yeah, very beautiful effect. Coolio. So, as you can tell, this is a pretty cool thing, but as you can tell, it's not in the greatest shape. This thing is not able to fly at all. Let me turn down the volume. That is very loud. That works. So, basically, I'm probably gonna get into everything else before I start talking about, how to make your own Tardis. So I guess this is best over here. So, what you're probably going to need is, well, first you're going to need an alembic and a quantiscope. You can get a brass or iron quantiscope. I prefer the iron quantiscope, I kind of like the look of it, but we're just going to go with the brass quantiscope. And then we've got the alembic. So, both of these are pretty useful because they're basically the main ingredient to, well, the TARDIS and all that, you know, crazy stuff. So basically, you're going to need, well, first, if you've already found a way into a TARDIS, then it's probably going to be a bit till you'll actually be able to reliably fly it. Now, there are 4 components to a TARDIS, which the most important is the components part, but we'll talk about all of them at once. So the components hold all the things like your dematerialization circuit, fluid link, navcom, stabilizers, chameleon circuit, interstitial antenna, temporal grays, and shield generator. All that stuff you'll hear about later. You've also got your Artron banks, which is basically your fuel tab. You'll put Artron capacitors into here. Sometimes there's a chance that leaky Artron capacitors will spawn here. I'm like pretty sure. But you might have some. If you have 2, then you only need like 1 light one to make it in here look less like a mess. Then you've got your upgrades. This is a bit further ahead. And you've got your charging and attunement. This is much slightly closer than this. But that's not really important right now. What's important is this. So the quantiscope is very special because it's used to make most of the items in this game, or in this mod. So things like, you know, your dematerialization circuit, you need to do it in the quantiscope. And as far as I know, this mod has full JEI, like 100% JEI support. Also JEI, or just enough items, the actual name. I do suggest installing it. It's a very cool and useful mod for basically every mod pack, especially this one. So, yeah. So the quantiscope is useful in making components, making fuel, making batteries, basically everything. You can create a dematerialization circuit with this. You can create fluid link with this. Now, I think you used to be able, this was a feature in 1.14, but you used to be able to make a fluid link in the crafting table by 6 iron like this, and I think it was two exotronic circuits here and here, and then a mercury bottle here. But they removed that because it was like, why would you even make it that way? But now you can just make it in here, so people won't think that that's the only way to craft it. Now, mercury bottles, you're probably wondering what a mercury bottle is, and especially the exotronic circuit. So I'll tell you about that now. So the way to make the exotronic circuit is this. Now, you can actually make an exotronic circuit in a crafting table, but it's super duper mega expensive. Like, this is overly expensive. The way you should do it is make it in a quantiscope. Now, the first step of your probably gameplay is actually to make an alembic, because this requires an exotronic circuit, and unless you find that in one of those storytellers observatories, you're really not going to be able to make one of these. So let's start with the Alembic. The Alembic is pretty simple. The UI used to be a little different, but thankfully they changed it because it was very glitched in the release version of the 1.14 release. But it looks great now, and I like the look of it. So what you're going to need is some cinnabar, some coal, and most of all, some water. Let's get a decent amount of water. So what you're going to need to do is put some water in here, and this will fill. It says 1,000 mega. I don't know what that is. A lot of water, basically. And what you're going to need to do is place some cinnabar here, some coal here, and it will start creating something. So while that's loading, we're going to get some bottles, some empty bottles, filled bottles, and it will turn into fluid mercury. So what you're going to need to do then is to make some more fluid mercury, and you're probably going to need to fill up your water meter here a bit more. And then eventually you'll get the max amount of mercury, which is 1,000. So once you do that, you can put a bottle in here and you'll get a mercury bottle. Now it seems to take 500 to fill up one mercury bottle, which is pretty interesting because you used to be able to fully fill up this in one cinnabar. It did just fill up in chunks, and it was pretty not easy to get, but that was negotiable. But yeah, so but you're probably wondering, mercury bottles aren't really useful right now because you don't have an exotronic circuit. And you probably saw the circuit paste. Now, the lighter recipe here is, well, you know, what you can use with circuit paste. But you're probably wondering, how do you actually get circuit paste? Well, if you select it, you can make it this way. So, you basically need anything, I guess, except any Tardis or any plant-based thing. Flowers, saplings, seeds. Seeds are probably the easiest one, so I guess I'll use that as an example. You only need 64. So what you should probably do is put a water bucket in here, put some coal, and put that, and I think it's glitch because you need a full thing. Okay, so you're going to need a full water thing here, so put that in there, fills up, put that there, and just put all the wheat seeds here. It'll start cooking, and you know, yeah, and you'll get one circuit paste. Now, it will consume a single bit of water, which is pretty expensive. And when I say pretty expensive, I mean extremely cheap. And it'll craft you a circuit paste. So let's actually explain what you can do with this. So if you put, it can go anywhere. It doesn't really matter. There's no fine recipe. But you need 2 gold nuggets, a circuit paste, and an X iron crystal, and it will craft into. Give it some time. Exotronic circuit. And look at that. Now you've got an exotronic circuit, which is used in, as you can tell, a lot of crafting recipes. It's basically the main ingredient. Now, it used to be a little annoying to get, because you needed green dye, which if you played the 1.14 version, or the 1.14.4 new Tardis Mod, you know that the only way to get cactus is going to a desert. So if you didn't spawn in a desert, or you spawn in a winter biome, good luck. You should probably re-roll your spawn, Because if you don't, what is going on? You're going to need to basically, just go and find a desert or reset your spawn because it's the main ingredient. It used to be, basically like this, and that would make a single exotonic circuit. And as far as I know, I'm pretty sure you couldn't make it in here, which was a little annoying. But I guess made sense. But it was pretty annoying because then you'd basically need to set up a bunch of cactus farms, which is kind of irritating to have to do because they just had to do this constantly, and any Tardis thing you had, fill it up like that, and then, do that, and you'd have to wait for that to grow, and it was really annoying. And there wasn't really any ARS rooms that you could, that were specially made for cactus farming, so it's been annoying. So you can still do that because it will work. They actually change this out. It will work with cactuses if you do want to use that, but I mean, like, just make a weed farm. It's a lot easier because it's more reproducible and all that stuff. But now we've got that out of the way, you'll probably be able to figure out the rest of that on your own because, well, I mean, it's not too mega complicated. It's fairly simple. But basically, what you need to do now is make the components and the fuel, and I'll get into that now. So, components, the main parts. So the components, as of now, are the dematerialization circuit, fluid link, navcom, stabilizers, interstitial antenna, temporal brace, shield generator. As far as I know, that's all of them. So the dematerialization circuit basically allows you to, fly the Tardis. It makes it to where you can actually take off and do all that stuff, because without a dematerialization circuit you can't dematerialize, so you basically just are stuck. A fluid link allows you to actually use the fuel, which you'll eventually need, and the navcom is used to actually input coordinates. Stabilizers, interstitial antenna, blah blah blah. We'll get into that in a sec. But let's install these. You need to do a little mini game, which can be a bit grating when you're trying to make a creative world with the Tardis, and you have to do all that. A little annoying. So basically, it's the dematerialization circuit lets you take off. Fluid link is, so you can use your Artron fuel, which is what it's called. The navcom lets you input in coordinates. Stabilizers allow you to, I forgot the community circuit. The stabilizers, something on the console. Basically, while you're flying, generally you fly unstabilized, meaning you are doing most of the heavy work. So you'll have to go through a little course. So yeah, but with stabilizers, you'll basically put the work onto the Tardis. But it's most of the time the only reason you'll do that is if you're just trying to do something on your own. Because it's hard on the Tardis, it makes it like you less, and it takes up your fuel a lot faster, and it puts more stress on your components. Basically, you pretty much shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't really use the stabilizers as much, but if you're doing stuff or crafting something, it can be useful. Chameleon circuit allows you to change your exterior, and it takes 1 damage per tick and has a chance to take 50% room. I don't really know what that means. Interstitial antenna allows you to detect distress signals and takes 1 damage per tick or 2 if a signal is detected. Temporal Grace basically makes it to where when you're inside of the TARDIS, you can't take damage, but every single time the pilot gets hurt, inside the interior, the Temporal Grace component will take damage. And the shield generator prevents other subsystems from taking damage when the exterior is hit, and takes damage from explosives and 4 from projectiles. So I'm guessing, like, if you hit the TARDIS with a projectile, like an arrow or something. And I'm, like, 90% sure it also sucks you, or stops you from getting sucked out of the door, which is pretty useful. Now don't forget to do this. I forgot to do this for a while. But make sure to turn on your components. Basically, if you are not using something, you just turn it off. Like that. Like say you don't really want to use your temporal grace circuit, well, you can just switch it off. Or your shield generator, you're like, oh, it's not really that useful, and or your stabilizers, you're not using it, then you could just, you know, lightly turn them off. So yeah, now you're probably wondering, oh, this is great, we can take off now. But before you start getting crazy and start thinking, oh yeah, well, let's just take off the TARDIS and, you know, fire off that handbrake and get ready to fly, I would do that, but it would damage the TARDIS. Just give it a minute. Just give it a minute. Because what you probably should do first is get some fuel. Shit. There we go. Get some fuel into the Artron banks. I'm not going to fully fill this up because that would take way too long, but basically Archer capacitors are energy storers. The higher level an Archer capacitor is, the higher it will charge, and the higher capacity it will hold. So if we just connect this all about, boom, and then go up here. Also, you'll probably notice that we can actually see these coordinates now if you noticed while I was in here. But if you actually look, this is the monitor, by the way. Monitor's pretty useful. Tells you a lot of information. Basically, time flight information, tells you location, dimension, where you're facing, your target, target dimension, the amount of Artron you have, and the total journey. Basically, it's like if you're flying, it will tell you how close you are to finishing. Wait a sec. I know, a little annoying. Waypoint screen, well, I'll get into this in a minute. Change interior, I'll also get into this into a minute. Change console unit, basically allows you to change this console. Change exterior, pretty self-explanatory, you can change it to any exterior that you unlock. I'll get into that also in a minute. Security allows you to toggle alarms, which will toggle that. Looks very cool. Scan for life signs. Wrong one. Scan for life signs. There's only one person here. If I say, get some chickens in here, and then scan for some life signs, it'll say, oh, we found some stuff. Yeah, I really don't want to hear clucking, so, how did you not die from that? You know what? I'm just gonna... Okay, I'm just gonna... I don't even care anymore. And turn force field on. I'm pretty sure this makes it... I kind of forgot what it does, but I'm not sure if it prevents you from getting sucked out of the TARDIS, or prevents enemies from getting into your TARDIS or something. I'll be honest, I did forget, because I don't use it, like, ever. It says turn it on because we don't have any power. Interior properties, we can change what it sounds like. We can change it from different shows, TV, the Master's TARDIS, the Junk TARDIS, and just the normal basic TARDIS. the console variant. So the orange one was what we saw before. The ironclad one looks really cool. I think it fits a different. I don't think it really fits this one. And then we've got the rosewood one, which looks magnificent, I might say. It's probably one of my favorite console units. We'll just keep it on that. And interior hum, you can change it to this one. Really, anyone you want. Let's just go for the copper's hum, which I like. So yeah, and then the exterior, we've got set the landing code. This is for I think it's called transduction barriers. I'm not 100% sure. Yes, a transduction barrier. Basically blocks TARDISes from landing in a 32 giant radius, or a landing pad. Which you can, I'm guessing, set a code for. You can change the exterior animation. It can be New Who or Classic. I'm pretty sure New Who is fade in. It basically pulses, and then Classic is just, it slowly fades in. Anti-gravs basically stops your TARDIS from falling. So, yeah, in exterior, you can change it to blue to make it look like this, or rusted. There's different variants for different ones. I'm not sure if it's just this one. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, change it to New Who. But now that we've got that all out of the way, you're probably wondering, how do we get fuel? We put in like Archron capacitors and done all that. So how do we actually get fuel? Well, to answer your question, you're going to need to find this button on the TARDIS, the refueler. Now, if you're wondering, how do I tell the difference between all these buttons and what they do? I've never used a TARDIS before. You pull out, this is what the Strange Journal is used for. It's not just for reading, but it also helps you tell what each button on this TARDIS done. And I'm saying around 95% of the buttons on each console that look like they'll do something, will do something. Now, if you don't want to accidentally miss and open this up, just put it on your offhand. It stops you from opening up the journal. They changed that, which is nice. So you'll want to find the refueler, so engage that, and as you can tell, we'll start refueling. Now, I would wait, but I'm not exactly eager to spend half of this video waiting for the TARDIS to refuel, so let's just add that, and now we have 500 AUs stored. So yeah, that'll be pretty useful. So what you can do for this is change the interior, which is actually what we're gonna do. So I can stop having to have night vision on. And now most of the time, normally, it should take about 300 seconds for you to normally do that. Also, by the way, forgot to mention, X-ion crystals and Cinnabar look like this. Wait. You find them, Cinnabar you kind of find everywhere, but X-ion crystals, you kind of find them a bit lower down to the ground, and they shine, so, you know, pretty useful for lighting up a cave system. But yeah, so just forgot to mention that. So if you go in here, it's still a bit dark, but we can turn that up. If you look in the interior properties, you can also change the interior light level. We're going to put that pretty high up because I don't want it to be super dark in here. But yes, we finally got pretty much everything sorted out, so now it's finally time to get to the flying part. Now, I'll get into what each thing does. So basically, let's just start this way. So if you want to modify the coordinates, you can. This is probably the best place you want to do it. Also, little trick I found out by watching some videos. If you get a rotating monitor, which you can get by, you know, clicking that, or, you know, looking for that, you can see the ARS system. Basically, there's something called an ARS egg, which is very useful. You craft it like so. You need an egg, X electronic circuit, and an X ion crystal. So hey, these guys are useful after all. So just find a place to put it. And if you right click, yeah. I'm pretty sure it takes, so if I grab 5 roundels, so for each block you grab, it'll take 1 Artron unit. So if you want a rotating monitor, just look through it here, grab this, and you'll get a monitor if you want to do this in survival. Basically, when you're looking at the console, right click, like here, like at this, and then now normally if you right click you would just open it, but if you hold down shift and right click, you'll get that. Now I'm pretty sure but yeah, so you can, because normally it'd be a bit annoying to have to look over there, change your thing, or look over there, barely, and have to run over here and do it, so you can just change it or look while you're doing it. But basically, maybe I will just change this up to max, because it's actually kind of dark in here. So, basically, what you should do here, is, let's say we wanted to go to, like 1000, and then 0. What you should probably do is go to the max thing. I don't really follow this one, most of the time I'm erratic, but you can do this. So say I want to go to positive 1000, so put my 1000 in, go down. The reason why I'm punching, you can right click too, so once you do that, you can add that up. Okay, go down, and then to go down, you can hold down shift and do that. You go down one more. There we go. So let's say we wanted to land up a bit higher. Maybe at 65. You can do that. And 0. And now we're at 1065 and 0. So, pretty simple stuff. Though, this does actually work with the randomizer, so you can, if you can look here, this is the randomizer, this little sneak globe thing. If you spin this, depending on what your increments are set at, that's how much it'll set it to, or randomize it. So let's just go on our first flight, because I think that'll be pretty interesting. So what you want to do is you put down this handbrake here, put it down. Most of the time it's down, it could be up, I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure 90% of the time with most consoles the handbrake should be down if you're about to launch. And then find your throttle. Now you can lightly whack on it, but if you really want to go all the way, punch it. So spaceful drifts, do that, you just right click that. Exterior bulkhead. I know this because I've been playing this game, or I've been playing with this mod for a very long time. Or not a super long time, but I've also been using this console a lot. So now we want to land. Put that down. And we've landed. Now we didn't land at the exact coordinates because I kind of messed it up. I accidentally didn't punch it instead of, I just right clicked it. I don't know why. Like sometimes it'll stay there for a second. If we open this up, it seems to be inside of a wall. Wow, magnificent. So maybe we don't want to do that. Also, I remember what the shield generator does. I'm pretty sure it both stops you from getting sucked out and stops water and lava and stuff from getting in. Now in the old version of this mod, you used to be able to hold down shift and right click this monitor and show you an outside view, but they I think they kind of traded that in for the bow tie, though. And when I say this, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they also made it to where, or not made it, but I've heard that if they were to ever add back that rotating view, if you know what I'm talking about, that it would be an upgrade. If I'm wrong, tell me. But yeah, so you're probably wondering, yeah, don't get me wrong, this is a cool console, this is a cool interior, and that's a pretty cool exterior. But how do I get more? Because, you know, I showed you there was plenty of exteriors, and they all come with different interiors and stuff. So, how you get that is basically, you need this thing. An erotic spectrometer. Or, spectrometer. I don't know. It's something like that. And here it is. The crafting recipe is any concrete. In this recipe, it doesn't have a quantiscope recipe. And you're going to need a sonic screwdriver for this. Very important, very important. Let's just get a basic sonic screwdriver. Now, to actually craft a sonic screwdriver, you'll need this sonic emitter, this. If you have JEI, you can just check how to do that. And then you'll get your very own sonic screwdriver. Pretty cool stuff. And what you'll need to do is, basically, if you actually check how to craft a sonic screwdriver, you'll see that it's attunable. I'll get into that in a bit. Craft it. But if you look here, it says a spectrometer. Or spectrometer. And you can scroll through, there's a lot of recipes, 27. And it tells you every single interior you can get. Now, you basically put something like, let's say I wanted to unlock the, I don't know, a coralized interior. Or actually, how about the nautilus interior? I'd get a nautilus shell, and I'd put it in here. So while that's going, you can put your sonic screwdriver in here, and it'll basically be scanning this, and then your sonic will be up here. And once it's done, it'll say nautilus interior, and it'll start downloading it into your screwdriver. Which is pretty cool. So once you look at if you hold down shift, you'll see that the nautilus interior is stored into your screwdriver. Just take that out, walk over, and if you look over here, you have the sonic part, put it in there, and you'll unlock the nautilus interior. So so that's basically how you do it. But there are some that you actually need to go out and find, which I'll get into in a bit. But that's kind of the basics. So once you do that, let's get into attunement, and then I'll get into the console part. So attunement is pretty simple. But basically, let's say I want to attune a sonic screwdriver. Actually, let's just talk about this. Sonic screwdriver has a few functions. You could block interactions. So say I have an iron door. Oh no, I can't pick it up. Or no, oh no, I can't open it. You can use the block interactions to open it up. Pretty cool stuff. Hold down shift and right click if you actually want to access this menu. Entity interactions. Say I have a sheep here. I want to shear the sheep, but I don't have shears. Just right click it. Boom. This also takes power, which you'll need to put in here, which will take actual Artron power. If you were wondering, it will take your Artron units. One second. False. Never mind. Thought I was about to sneeze. But yeah. And you've also got passive probe. I'll get into that in a minute. And then Tardis coordinates. This is probably the most useful in my opinion. So you actually need to attune it first, so I guess we'll get into that now. So you've got this charging pin here, which is used to charge batteries and obviously your sonic screwdriver. But if you put it here, you have the attunement slot. This is progress here, because you actually need, basically you put this in to here. Put it into here, and then once you start flying, let's just crazy coordinate. Randomize the chords like that, and then set her off. Let's just turn the stabilizers on so we can get a better view of this. That's how the stabilizers work, by the way. If you look in here, you can tell, if you look at this, hover your, cursor over this bar here, you'll see that the progress slot is going up. Now, I would, continue to show this, but this takes a while, and you'll probably need to go into a few flights to finally attune something. But I'm just going to attune this now. So yeah, it's attuned now. So let's just lens Tardis. So we don't have to deal with that. So just open it up here. Oh yeah, forgot to mention. That'll happen. If you go out before the TARDIS fully lands, like I made the mistake of thinking it was, it will launch you to the time vortex. Now, thankfully, I was pretty lucky there. It didn't like spawn me like 100 blocks away. But let's get into this. TARDIS coordinates. Let me turn this up. It's a bit quiet. So, say I want to move us over here. So, time shape destination set there. Now, you don't actually need. I actually thought this might be the case. But at first, I thought what you needed to do was put this in here, and then it set the coordinates. But if you if you have like a friend, they're inside the TARDIS, you can just set it there. And say you don't want to just give your friend coordinates, because it might feel a bit cheap, so they can teleport to you. You can just do that, and then if we, go into flight. Once you get to your destination, find your TARDIS. Also, when it's at 100%, it will just continue to drain your fuel, which is useful for tuning items. So say you don't really want to, go into constant play and keep flying around. You can just stay at 100% for a few minutes if you have plenty of Artron energy and attune an item. So if we go here, as you can tell, we are now exactly where I put us to go, which is very useful. So that's basically what the sonic screwdriver can do. So let's get into the console now. So there's plenty of things that the console has, so I'll get into all of the events. So the first one is what's it called? Oh yeah, vortex win or something wins. Forgot what it was called. Basically anything to do with winds. You'll press the throttle handbrake. Anything to do with the XYZ increments, like XYZ axis error or something. Like if it says like X glitch or something, just press X, Y, or Z. If it's like vertical land type or vertical air, like vertical air displacement, click the vertical land type, which changes what you should probably like what you'll prefer to land to. So say you land over there something, if there's a cave below you, if you set it to up, you'll just go on top of the surface, but if you want to go down, you'll teleport inside the cave. Artron flow low, the refueler, exterior, exterior bulkhead failure, door switch, a little bit of a complicated one, vortex scrap. It is randomizer and exterior facing. Dimensional, or I think it's like dimension displacement error or something. You'll press the dimensional shifters. And there's also one. I think it's like Artron Pocket, and it's which is a new one. And basically, click refueler, run over here, and click exterior facing, and you'll get a bit of Artron energy. I would show that off now, but it's a bit hard to do. So you've got a few things here we can show off. You've got the telepathic circuits, which lets you find a specific biome. If you've got a certain upgrade, you can find structures. You've got fast returns. So say we want to go back to the spot we were originally at, it will set the course to where we originally had our destination set to. So yeah, that's pretty useful. And the communicator. Basically, you can receive signals and send signals. This is our name of the TARDIS. Each TARDIS has a unique name. So say I want to send a signal to myself, then I can see that, and it will tell me exactly where my TARDIS is. And I can just ignore it. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's about everything to do with the console. So let's get into the thing I was talking about with the sonic screwdriver. Uh, Basically, there's a few things you could do. So if you right click, you'll see the passive probe. If you select it, you'll be like, oh, it doesn't really do anything. But if you're just walking around, chilling, or potentially flying around, eventually you should get a certain message, telling you that there's something very interesting going on. I don't know. Should be showing up eventually. Dang, it's taking a while. Okay. Basically, I can't seem to find one. But if it tells you are in a rift chunk, you can craft this, an Artron pylon and an Artron collector. Basically, put down this pylon, and it will collect the energy from the the rift chunk. And if you have your collector, the Artron pylon will send an energy signal, or will send energy from the rift to this. And so you have a battery here. It would fill up this battery. Now this isn't actually a rift chunk, so it won't fill up with energy, but it'll collect, put it in here. So, pretty interesting stuff. You're probably wondering what these batteries are for. These batteries are for the very cool Vortex Manipulator, which is one of my favorite items because it's so useful. Now, it can do plenty of things, and it needs batteries. So you've got a scanner function, battery function, teleport function, and something function. Just give me a minute. Just one more minute. Like, a few minutes here. You're supposed to be able to you're supposed to be able to send a distress signal. But for some reason, there we go. So basically, if you're at the teleport function and press the next sub function, you'll display a distress signal. Activate the function, and then you can send it to whatever time ship you want. Send it there, and it will tell you the exact coordinates. Check here. Annoying. Basically, if you're on a server with friends, you can just say, hey, can you like pick me up? And you're like, oh, what's your coords? Oh, I'll just send it to you. And you can just, do that. It's pretty useful. But how you probably saw a few other things. You've got a scanner. It will tell you that there are 0 monsters and 0 players in a certain block radius of you. I'm not sure it does, normal animals. And you've got the battery function. Basically, this is where you put the batteries. Now, I would charge up the batteries normally, but I kind of want this video to be a little less than an hour long, or not super a lot. So I'm just gonna use this creative battery because I want to save on time a little bit. And now we have a ton of energy. Actually, we don't have a lot of energy, do we? Oh, actually, that's a lot of energy, isn't it? It's just kind of hard to tell. Just put this battery in here, and now we can teleport. So let's say we wanted to teleport to -6, 5, 6:30. Teleport there, and you'll be in a time vortex. Pretty cool. It's a little laggy actually. But eventually, if you actually check your thing, it will eventually teleport you to wherever you set your coordinates, which is very useful. Because say you just take a picture of your coordinates, you're just like, ching, you know, run over here. You can just teleport over there, and you don't even need a diagnostic tool, which is usually what you need to track your Tardis. Speaking of the diagnostic tool, where actually is it? Ah, here it is. You've probably seen this while I was scrolling through the Statenheim remote. Lets you teleport your Tardis, but one, it needs to be attuned, and also, it's not currently obtainable in survival mode. So, this isn't attuned, but I'm just gonna, attune it so I don't have to do that. Basically, if you're just chilling, you can check forge energy, the amount what it's using right now, its current location in the world, and the subsystems and their current thing. Oh, I just realized anything inside of it will not die. So temporal grace. That's why those chickens weren't dying, because it won't just protect the pilot, but everything inside. Now, if you're actually looking in like a pretty close to where the TARDIS is, you'll see a little arrow, and if you keep walking over here and running over here, eventually you'll see where it is, which is pretty cool. So yeah, diagnostic tool is pretty useful. Which can also be used for the vortex manipulator, because it can tell you the exact coordinates. You can just, be like, oh, this coordinate, but like slightly less, so I don't land in the TARDIS, and then, yeah, it's pretty useful. To be honest, that's about everything. There's a few other things, like there's this time ship blocker, where if you get a door, and obviously attune the item, because you're out of tune everything nowadays, don't you? Put this door here. Shift right click the door. The top part of the door, it'll teleport you in. It normally destroys it. You can actually, I'm pretty sure you can put entities through it. So if we get a chicken, so there we go. If we get a chicken, it'll teleport them, teleport you, and now look at that, there's another chicken in here. So, yeah, you've also got ARS, very important part of the Tardis mod. Basically lets you add rooms and stuff, you just, you can add a bunch of different rooms. There's different guards. You can add, like, land, like, let's say you want to add a hydroponics farm. You can add a hydroponic farm. Let's say you want to add a super large hydroponics farm. You can do that too. Pretty cool stuff, in my opinion. You can do a bunch of stuff. You can go down, all the cool stuff. Very useful, items. As far as I know, there's not really much else. Oh yeah, waypoints. You've got your, waypoints. Actually, where are those? Okay, so you've got a waypoint bank. So say gosh, that is loud. Dang. Let's say, you want to make this place where you are. You don't want to have to memorize the coordinates. You can just create a new waypoint. Name it. Like whatever you want to call it, and then if you're looking here, you got that. You can add it to a crystal. Very useful, because you can just say you want to transfer it to another person. You can just add it. You can just click it, I think. Well, if you select it and then click that, it will add it, and then you can add it to another person's TARDIS if they have a waypoint bank, like here, and then add it to here, which is very useful. We've also got key that can be used to lock your TARDIS, blah blah blah. We've got gun, got a gun, crazy stuff. Back what charge this uses. Oh, batteries. It uses battery charge. But, you know, I'm a creative. And you've probably seen this spacesuit a few times. I'll get into that in a minute. Or more I'll get into the way you actually get into it. But we've also got upgrades. I'm not actually going to use them because some of them are a bit hard to explain. But basically, there's also this item access panel. Very cool. Basically, well, I'm not going to get into it right now, but it's a great way to have a TARDIS-wide storage system. These upgrades, the atrium upgrade, isn't really working right now. Well, it's working per se, but it's not really available to use. Basically, it lets you carry blocks with you. Allows whoever's around you to breathe underwater. You need to use a key to open the door. Structure upgrade, I'm not sure you can craft this right now, which I don't really know how to get it. I'm not sure if you have to do like a mission, or something. Because I could be wrong about this, but in the 1.5.3 version, they might be okay. Actually, don't even quote me on that because I'm probably completely wrong. But in the catalog, they're talking a lot about missions, and I'm like, but they haven't added missions to the game yet, as far as I know. Well, I don't think they have. I could be wrong. But yeah, but I don't really know how to get the structure thing. But lets you find structures within a certain block radius. Get Time Link allows you to tow another TARDIS. And Zero Room removes the poison effects and heals players under the max health. Takes 1 damage for every heart healed. Basically, it heals you. And it's pretty useful. Next thing, structures. I think that's what I was gonna talk about. Yeah, right. I'm a little happier. So this is one thing I'm a little iffy about, because in none of my survival worlds have I found anything but an observatory. Now, if we use the locate command, you can find a crashed structure, which is pretty far away. So I'm just gonna teleport myself there. Now, for some reason, it launched me way further than I wanted it to. But, I guess I'll just talk about it while I'm, heading over there. I don't know why, but it always gets the X coordinate right, but it never gets the Z coordinate right when I'm teleporting myself. But basically, this crash structure is useful in getting components, or not components, but interiors, exteriors. I'm pretty sure just interiors and exteriors, but I could be wrong. But it's used to get those because inside of these crash structures you can find these reclamation units, which are basically chests. But as far as I know, that's the only way to obtain a spacesuit. Basically, as far as I know, they're the only way to get a spacesuit, and I want someone to correct me if this is true, but can you get the structure locator from these places? Because I've never found one, so I've never really been able to test, and 2, I haven't really been able to explore them, because I mean, if I just keep flying here, you will just not find one. I mean, yes, they are pretty well integrated into the terrain, but like, if they're so well integrated that you can't even find them, like, I haven't really been able to realistically find one. So if anyone in the comments can tell me if there's a way to find these things. I'm not sure. I heard, but I'm guessing I'm wrong here, that you can use the interstitial antenna to find one, but I think I read that wrong, so don't even take that as, like, correct. But, yeah, I think, to be honest, that's about all for this video. Don't really know what else to say, because kind of done everything. Spacesuit, you know, I didn't really explore much about space, but that's because just haven't really not found a use, but guess been able to do much with it, considering I haven't been able to play with it in survival. Because you can only get these spacesuit parts from, as far as I know, crash structures, and if you didn't hear what I said before, haven't really been able to find any of those, so, you know, yeah. You can also make little rooms and airlocks and stuff like that, in space, and the moon and all that cool stuff. But I haven't really been able to find any crash structures, so I haven't really been able to explore the, you know, the space dimension and the moon dimension. So it's kind of a shame, but, you know, I guess it's about time to end the video, because, you know, not really doing anything. So I'd say that was a pretty good video. So thanks for watching, everybody. I do hope you enjoyed it thoroughly. Sorry for the length. I'll probably cut some of the parts that were a bit boring down, because I kind of want to get it under an hour. But yeah, so hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.